The house no longer sounded the way it used to. It was not completely silent, because silence would have been easier to understand. Instead, it was filled with small, unfinished noises, the kind that made it feel like something had been interrupted and never properly resumed. A chair creaked where no one sat. The refrigerator hummed like it was thinking too hard. Even the clock on the wall ticked, as if it were unsure whether time should keep moving forward. Darlene stood in the kitchen, one hand resting on the counter, the other holding a dish towel she had not used. She had been staring at the same spot for long enough that it had begun to feel like a conversation. "So," she said finally, without turning, "since your mom used to handle the holidays, I thought we should probably come up with some kind of plan for Thanksgiving and Christmas." Jackie, who had been leaning against the doorway, let out a quiet breath that turned into a half-smile. "Oh, I say we stick with the Connor tradition. Spend every dime we have on Halloween. Then spend the rest of the year wondering why we are broke and emotionally unprepared." Darlene let out a small sound that could have been a laugh if it had been allowed to grow. From the hallway came the familiar thud of a backpack hitting the floor. "Hi, Mom." Darlene turned. "Hiya, Jackie." "Hey, how was school?" Mary walked in, her face carrying the kind of straightforward confidence only children seemed capable of. "Good. We are learning about democracy." Jackie raised an eyebrow immediately. "Oh, that sounds exciting. I did not realize they had started teaching ancient history again." Mary ignored her. "We are doing projects about the election. I am going to take a poll at the mall to see how people voted." Darlene blinked once, then twice. "Oh, that is great. My 11-year-old approaching strangers at the mall asking about politics. Why do we not just take it one step further and have you hitchhike there too?" Mary crossed her arms. "No. You are taking me." "I cannot," Darlene replied quickly. "I have to work that day." "You did not even ask what day it is." Darlene waved her hand. "Let us not get stuck in the details." Jackie stepped in. "What day is it?" "Saturday." Darlene closed her eyes briefly. "Of course it is Saturday. I have to work." Jackie straightened, suddenly energized. "Well, I am free on Saturday. I would love to help." She crouched slightly, looking directly at Mary now, her tone shifting into something unexpectedly sincere. "It is actually a really good idea. Learning how democracy is supposed to work matters. It is up to people like you to fix it someday." Mary nodded, satisfied. Before the moment could settle, a voice called from outside. "You guys have got to see this." They moved toward the door, stepping out onto the porch. Dan sat there, in a chair that had clearly been dragged from inside, facing a television that had no business being outdoors. The glow from the screen flickered across his face, but his expression did not change. Jackie tilted her head. "Well, yes. He is watching television outside. That is the obvious part. Now let us ask the real question." Darlene's voice softened. "I think the shock is wearing off. Now it is turning into something else." Jackie nodded slowly. "He is isolating. At this rate," Darlene continued, "he will be across the street next week." Jackie glanced at the remote in Dan's hand. "He will go as far as the batteries allow." They stepped closer. "What is going on?" Jackie asked. Dan did not look away from the screen, watching television on the porch. "Cool," Jackie said. Quick follow-up. "What?" "I wanted to watch television," he replied. "And I wanted some air." He paused, then added, "And a little quiet." Darlene folded her arms. "Do not mind us." Jackie nodded. "Yes. This is very healthy. We fully support it." Dan finally looked at them. "If you are going to track me like a wounded animal, you could at least do the decent thing and put me out of my misery." "Dan," Jackie said gently, "you cannot avoid us forever." Darlene stepped forward. "You have been through a lot. You can talk to us." Dan stared at her, then at Jackie, then back at the television. "I am feeling something very strongly," he said. Jackie leaned in. "Yes. My sister-in-law is standing in my garage, and I would like her to leave. Jackie sighed, but did not move. Maybe not us. But you should talk to someone. I went to a support group when Mark died, Darlene added. It helped. Jackie nodded enthusiastically. Yes. Tell him what you got out of it. Darlene hesitated. I met some very nice older men who had tennis bracelets, but no one to give them to. Jackie nodded as if that proved everything. Dan stood up. I will call you if I need you. He walked past his motorcycle. You left your phone, Jackie called out. Exactly, he said, without stopping. The air lingered with something unfinished. Inside, life kept moving, though not in a straight line. Later that evening, Darlene stood in the living room with a small group of people. My dad will be here any minute, she said. He is not himself right now. Just be normal. Do we yell surprise? Someone asked. No, she said quickly. Absolutely not. Just sit. Talk. Act like this is not a carefully planned emotional ambush. The door opened. Dan stepped inside and stopped. He looked at everyone. Then he looked at Darlene. What is this? We are just hanging out, Chuck said, holding a deck of cards. Thought we would play poker. Dan shook his head slowly. There is no game. Silence. I said go home. Darlene stepped forward. Dad, I do not want this. Chuck tried to help. We are your friends. Dan's voice hardened. Oh, I am sorry. I did not realize your wife was gone too. No one had a response to that. One by one, they left. The house returned to that same unfinished quiet. But something had changed. Not solved. Not healed. Just acknowledged. And sometimes, that was where everything began. The house had always been loud in a way that felt like warmth. Not the kind that came from heaters or sunlight, but the kind that came from overlapping voices, half-finished jokes, and the steady rhythm of a family that never quite paused long enough to notice its own chaos. Now, though, there were moments when the quiet slipped in between conversations, thin and sharp, like a draft through an old window. So, since your mom used to handle the holidays, Darlene said, leaning against the kitchen counter with a mug she had already forgotten to drink from. I thought we should talk about a game plan for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Dan did not look up right away. He was sitting at the table, turning a spoon slowly between his fingers, as if it might reveal some hidden answer if he gave it enough time. Finally, he shrugged. Oh, I say we follow the Connor tradition, he replied. Spend every dime we have on Halloween. And then we have nothing to be thankful for or buy gifts with. Darlene let out a short laugh. It was not entirely light, but it was close enough. Hi, Mom, came a voice from the doorway. Darlene turned. Hiya, Jackie. Jackie stepped in, already mid-thought. Hey, how was school? She asked, looking toward Mary, who was dropping her backpack near the chair. Good, Mary said. We are learning about democracy. Dan raised an eyebrow. Oh, it is a class in ancient history. Mary ignored that. We are doing projects about the election. I am going to take a poll at the mall to see how people voted. Oh, good, Dan muttered. My 11-year-old approaching strangers at the mall. Why do we not double down and just have you hitchhike there? No, Mary said. Firm. You are taking me. Dan hesitated. I cannot. I have to work that day. You did not ask what day it was. He paused again, then waved a hand. Well, let us not get bogged down in, he said. She said. Darlene crossed her arms. All right. What day is it? Saturday, Mary answered. Dan sighed. How about that? I actually have to work that day. Jackie stepped forward immediately. Well, I am free on Saturday. I would love to help. I think it is great that you are hungry to learn about how democracy is supposed to work, because it is up to you young people to snatch it back from special interests and breathe new life into this noble experiment that we call America. Guys, Harris called from the living room. You have got to see this. They moved toward the door, curiosity briefly overriding everything else. Outside, on the porch, Dan was sitting in an old chair. A television balanced precariously on a small table, its glow flickering against the fading afternoon light. Why is he outside? Jackie asked. He is watching television, Darlene said. Well, yes. That is the obvious explanation, Jackie replied. Now let us dig a little deeper. Darlene watched him for a moment. I think the shock of losing your mom has worn off, she said quietly. And now he is just depressed. But he does not want us to see it. Well, watching television from the porch is not a good way to hide it, Jackie said. He has been isolating himself from the family more and more, Darlene added. Before you know it, he will be across the street. Jackie nodded solemnly. Oh, he will go as far as that remote will let him. Dan glanced up at them. What is up? Watching television from the porch, Jackie said. Cool. Quick question. What? I wanted to watch television, Dan said. And I am getting some fresh air. Also looking for a little alone time. Do not mind us, Darlene said quickly. Yeah, Jackie added. That is healthy. Sure. Yeah. Glad you feel that way. Dan narrowed his eyes. But you will not know until you test it. Right. Jackie clasped her hands. Exactly. If you are going to track me like a wounded animal, Dan muttered, do the decent thing and shoot me. Would you? Dan, Jackie said gently, stepping closer. You cannot avoid our love. You have been through a huge loss. Tell us what you are feeling. Give it to us. Dan stared at her for a long moment. I am having a very strong feeling, he said at last. My sister-in-law is badgering me, and I want her to leave my garage. Jackie blinked. Darlene sighed. Maybe you do not want to talk to us, but you have to talk to somebody. I went to a support group when Mark died. It really helped me. I still go sometimes. Jackie brightened. There you go. Tell him what you got out of it. Darlene thought for a moment. Well, I talk to nice old men who have tennis bracelets, but no one to wear them. Dan frowned. What? It says Tiffany, Darlene added, shrugging. But that is just the wife's name. I find that the guys on my crew get jealous when I wear my diamonds. Dan stood up slowly. I will call you if I need you. You left your phone by the bike, Jackie pointed out. Exactly, Dan said, and walked inside. The house settled again. Not quite quiet, but quieter than it used to be. Later that week, the mall buzzed with the kind of energy that made every conversation feel louder than it actually was. Mary stood near the entrance, holding a small notebook, her expression serious in a way that belonged to someone trying very hard to do something important. Remember, Jackie said beside her, politics is personal and private. Your job is to remain neutral and just record the answers. Democracy in action. Go get them. Mary nodded and approached the first passerby. Hello. I am doing a political poll for school. Are you registered as a Democrat or a Republican? Democrat, the woman said. Mary wrote it down carefully. Blue wave, Jackie blurted out. 2020. Mary turned sharply. Jackie. You scared her. Sorry, Jackie said. I just felt a rush of hope. It got away from me. Carry on. The next person stopped, listening politely. Republican, he said. Mary nodded. Did you vote for higher property taxes to pay for funding of the arts? No, he replied. Jackie stepped forward immediately. Hi. I am Jackie, the aunt of the pollster. Quick follow-up question. There is proof that communities with more arts programs have less crime, and it enriches our kids' lives. And you like kids? Right. The man smiled faintly. Nice bait. But I am not taking it. I work hard to pay my property taxes. There are more important things to spend money on. Jackie crossed her arms. So you have never wasted money? What about that ridiculously huge pretzel? If you want to talk about wasting money, he shot back. How about healthcare? How about the wall? Fake news, Jackie said. Fake news, he echoed. Jackie, Mary said firmly. We are not supposed to take sides. You are messing up the poll. Jackie exhaled. I know. I get it. Mary closed her notebook. I think I am going to change my project. Oh, Jackie asked. Yeah, Mary said. It is going to be about how people do not listen. They just yell at each other. And if we do not start listening and being nicer, we will never get along. Jackie looked at her. A soft smile forming. That sounds like a pretty good project. Back at the house, Dan stood in the garage, staring at the motorcycle. It gleamed under the dim light, polished and ready, as if waiting for something. Darlene leaned against the doorway.